Tonight I have the pleasure and really the honor of presenting a Research Lifetime Achievement Award to one of the most impactful researchers in our field, Dr. Barbara Stanley. Dr. Stanley was a true friend of AFSP. She was involved with the foundation from its earliest years, served as a member of our Research Grants Committee, our Scientific Council. She helped establish our New York City chapter, and she also walked every year on our Out of the Darkness walks. Because of her innovative research focused on understanding and preventing suicidal behavior and suicide, she received 6 grants between 1999 and 2019 from AFSP. She competed for those and she won them because of her research, how innovative it was. As a researcher and a clinician, Dr. Stanley was consistently focused on helping people, helping them to improve their lives, and helping them to regain a passion for living. So special in a researcher and a clinician. Her lifetime work centered on treatment of individuals with borderline personality and depression. Now, sadly, we lost Barbara in 2023 from cancer. But her contributions to our field and the impact of her research lives on. She was professor of medical psychology in the Department of Psychiatry at Columbia University. She was director of the Suicide Prevention Training, Implementation, and Evaluation Center for Innovative Practice at the New York State Psychiatric Institute. She was a principal investigator on many National Institute of Mental Health grants, investigating clinical, neurobiological, and interventions related to reducing suicidal behavior and self-injury. With her colleague and collaborator, Dr. Gregory Brown, she developed what is now, we know, a groundbreaking intervention, safety planning. And it's used today in emergency departments, inpatient and outpatient facilities, throughout the VA, and on crisis hotlines. She spent her career not just studying suicide, but also mentoring young investigators. And clearly, she's left her mark on our field. Now, you know, she's had hundreds of articles, book chapters, but one of the things that stands out for me, she got involved with a group and was president of a group called the International Association for Suicide Research. And because of her involvement with AFSP and IASR, she put us together to create what today is a premier research event. Every other year we hold it, which brings together researchers from throughout the world. Just as an example, the last one we had 564 suicide researchers from 32 countries discussing the science, the latest science, and future priorities. Clearly, Barbara left her mark, and probably the best thing is to hear from her from a few years ago when she spoke about safety planning.
The safety planning intervention is an intervention that my colleague Gregory Brown from the University of Pennsylvania and I developed. We originally developed in it, as it is now in its current form, we originally developed it for a treatment study that we were doing in suicidal adolescents. We developed this intervention as a way to help keep these suicidal adolescents safe until they got the cognitive behavior therapy that we were delivering to them. And so we just thought of it as kind of a management technique. And it turned out that in and of itself, it was a very powerful intervention. The safety plan is actually simply that. It's a safety plan. It's a suicidal person's emergency plan. We know from a lot of research and from talking with people who grapple with suicidal feelings that being suicidal is not an all or none phenomenon, that suicidal feelings come and go. And we also know that if somebody resists making a suicide attempt, that they don't necessarily have to go on and make a suicide attempt later, that the urges can dissipate. And so the safety plan is something that we have developed that helps people cope when they're entering that acute suicidal state and gives them something else to do instead of engaging in suicidal behavior.
Barbara, I know you're watching. Thank you for being a champion. Thank you for leading our field in so many ways. You are so deserving of this award, and we miss you dearly.